Hello. I'm going to show you how I make my cup toppers. Some of them. The ones that I make that are removable. So the first thing I do is I make them using a mold. I know you can buy acrylic blanks that are made for the tops of your cups, but I have this car coaster mold, and this is what I use. That way I don't have to buy more supplies. This is a 2.5 inch. I think it's like somewhere around 6.5 centimeters or something like that. I bought them off of Amazon, and they have different sizes, so you just want to make sure that you measure the top of your cups to make sure you're getting the right size. The first time I bought them, I bought this size, and these were, I think, like 7.5 centimeters, and it ended up being too big for the tops of my cups. So you want to make sure that you're getting the smaller size. So this one just happens to come with both of them. Okay, so I take my mold, clean it out, and then I'm just going to spray a little bit of alcohol, and I like this spray. You can use 70% if that's all you have for your alcohol. This just happens to be 91. So I just put a little spritz of it down in the bottom, and then I use UV resin for my toppers. I like Decorum. I use this kind. This is the only kind that I use. I tried several before this, and this by far gives me the best clarity and the best consistency with very little fumes when it gases off under your light. If you're very sensitive to the smell, I would definitely make sure you wear a mask and proper PPE, or keep your area ventilated. But this I absolutely love. It works very well under my light and also cures wonderfully in the sun. Okay, so I'm just going to take and make a topper with ice. Just grabbing my ice pieces. Give me 1 second. Should have had this ready. So I also get off of Amazon the ice pieces. I know you can buy a mold. I have a mold for ice, but it's the smaller ones. I think mine is this size, and that's too small. So I do want to buy one that's bigger so I can add colors and stuff to it. That's what I really like doing with these ones. But I bought a variety pack on Amazon, and it came with this size, the medium ones, and then it also came with the itty bitty. So I like using all of the sizes just to kind of fill the space. And then you can also get colored ones. Or if you have a mold, you can make your own colored ones. I usually, if I made a winter one once, and then I used only a couple blues. If I put color in them, I only add a couple of the colors. I don't add like the whole topper isn't all the color. But okay, so just whatever you decide that you want to use, but that's what I use. So I'm going to show you how I make that. The other thing that you can do is you can add fruit, like this. So I have lemon and I think oranges. So here's one that I did. And it's just some ice chips and a lemon slice on top. And I don't remember where I put my fruit. Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry. Really not. Oh, and I have limes too. So here, I also got these off of Amazon, and it came with all three. So I'll show you what I do for one of those two. And I just bought the whole slices. You can buy them with the smaller. You can already buy them sliced up. Here's what I do for these. Scissors. So I just cut it in half. Oh, this one's not cutting like they usually do. Ow. Oh, that one was a bad one. Okay, so you cut it in half, and then this is super hollow. So I actually add UV resin in here and cure this just so it is more solid. And then I put it on. You don't have to do that. That's just what I do. Okay, let's get to the main part here. So I use a combination of my little UV flashlight, which I'm pretty sure I got this on Amazon too. Most things, if I can get it on Amazon, I'm going to get it on Amazon. And then I also have my UV light over here. And this is where I cure when it's full. But this is just to do like a quick cure, so it doesn't move or drip around. Okay, so what I start out with first is I just pour enough resin in my mold to fill the bottom of the mold. And you don't want to do this too fast because you don't want bubbles. Pouring too fast can increase the bubbles in your pour. So I'm just going to do I think that'll be good. And then my table is not completely level, so I'm going to set it down on this little glass piece here, just so I can lift it without bending it. Okay. Just going to float it around just to fill in all the holes to the edge. Okay, so now it's just a very thin layer on the bottom. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my ice in there. Now I usually do 9 pieces because that fits around the circle and then one in the middle. So I'll do 9 pieces here and then I will start filling up. Now I know that I have seen some super high toppers. I don't really do that. I mean, it's just a topper unless I'm adding extra things to it. That's the only reason that I'll bring it higher. But for just ice, I don't really go too high. Like this one, it was just the 9 pieces on the bottom. Actually, I think I used 10 because I did one on each side. And then I used more resin in the bottom to build up the bottom. So just however you want your look, play around with it, see what you like, see what you don't like. So I'm going to start off with the 9 here, and I'm going to cure this under my big light. And then I just let it go for 2 minutes. And then we'll do the next bit. And I may add a few more of the big ones, but I want to add some little ones too. And if you don't have all these sizes, it's perfectly fine. Or some people have the square ice chunks. Those are fine too. Just, you'll do the same thing. You can build it up. And you would do the same thing if you had the acrylic mold piece. You would just start building it up on that. And you do want something like a UV resin that cures a lot faster, so everything stays where you want it on your topper. I don't recommend using epoxy for that. Now you could definitely make your own blanks by using one of these molds and then just filling the bottom with some epoxy and let that cure as just like, you know, the sheet, and kind of make your own acrylic blank, except it'll be an epoxy blank. And then you could do that, absolutely. But I would definitely use for the pieces a UV resin. I wouldn't use something like E6000 because this stuff, although strong and would hold it together, it is very toxic, and you don't want people using that close to their face. Those fumes last forever. Okay, this is almost done. A couple more seconds. Okay. All right, so now you can take it out if you want. I'm going to leave it in here, but look how clear that resin is. This is why I love this brand. No bubbles. Perfectly clear. I love it. It's fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to put this back in here. And the reason I'm putting it back in here is because I don't want resin to fall off the sides, because this fits perfectly in the top of my cup. And if I let it go off the side too much, it may not fit in whatever top that you have. So you just want to be careful that you don't let it go around the sides too much. Otherwise, you may have to sand it down, and that's a pain in the butt. I've done it. Okay, so I'm going to keep it in here because I don't want it to go past those rims. And then you just kind of build up. And I'm going to do... What I'm going to do first is kind of fill in the middle here, because the resin's not up high. And then I'm going to put one in here. And then I kind of just drip it around, and I'll do a quick cure on this so it stays. See, now it's in there. Okay. And then, yeah, you just keep doing this until you get the look that you want. Get it as high as you want. And then if I wanted to, like if I was making, say, a strawberry cup, and I wanted to add the ice topper, but I want it to look like strawberry syrup is over the top, I would make my syrup color with my resin, and I would make it in just a little cup. And then I have those little it's like an eyedropper looking thing. Or you could just use whatever cup that you're dipping it in. But you would just mix UV resin with either your mica powders or your paint or whatever it is that you use to tint your, or to color your resin. And then I would just pour it over all of your ice cubes or wherever you want it to make it look like a syrup. And that will add the color that you want. I did that with, I made a chocolate. So here I made a chocolate topper, and these are clear ice cubes, but you can hardly tell that they're clear unless you get the right angle, because I used a chocolate mica powder and I just poured it over and cured it when it was still on the ice cube. So it gives it like this complete chocolate look. And you can do that too. So again, lots of different ways that you can do it. You know, feel free to just play around and see what works. All right, I'm going to add a couple of these little ones. Okay, and now it's building up and it looks pretty good. All right. I think in these little tiny spaces here, I'm just going to add those little tiny ones, just to add a little bit more fill. Yeah. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so now that I have everything, now what I'm going to do is just take my resin and I'm going to pour a little bit over the complete top to make sure everything is sealed. And then I will do another cure for 2 minutes under my light. And I'm doing this just to make sure everything is completely cured on here and held together. Because you don't want there to ever, I don't want there to be a chance that anything can get under the ice cubes and get stuck, and you know, you don't want water to get in there and get stuck where people can't actually clean it, because then it could lead to it coming apart or molding or discoloring if water gets in there. So just want to make sure that I fill all the little holes in the middle of the ice cubes. That way it can completely dry for people. And we'll let that go for 2 minutes. But that is how I make my toppers. Very easy, basic one. And like I said, once you get, I mean, you could make a dozen of these at a time if you had the molds or if you had the, the blanks for it. And then, just make a whole bunch with ice and have them ready. That way, if somebody wants, a lime wedge or a lemon wedge or, cherry limeade, you can add a cherry and your lime wedge to it, and then you're done and you don't have to make all of them fresh. But whatever works for you. I don't really think there's any wrong way to make a topper because, each one can be unique to the cup, and you just kind of want it to blend in, and you don't want it too big. But if it's too small, it might not, stand above your cup if you don't do at least that second layer. Because I've done just one, and it's just too flat for me. I mean, it's very, if you just want to add a basic topper just so somebody has something up there, you could definitely do that. But, at least a couple layers I think looks really cool. Okay, so now once it's done, this is fully cured. I think it looks pretty nice. Got a little height to it. So now what I do is, if I can find where I just moved my magnet. Oh, here we go. So now I'm just going to take my magnets yeah, I guess I can do it on my cup. So I want to show you how I stick them. So I just take my lid and I take the top off. So some of my newer cups I really like. I get them from Stainless Steel Depot, and they actually, you just push the bottom in and they clip off. These ones do not, so I'm going to have to pry this up. And all I do is move it down, and then I push it out, and then it pops right out. And these go back in, so when I sell the cup and somebody wants a topper, I just include this in a little baggie right in with their order. That way, if they ever want to take the topper off and just have the other piece to it, they can. Let me clean. So you just want to clean the top of your cup lid, and I'm going to use alcohol. I'm going to spray some alcohol and then wipe it down. Okay, now I'm going to get my magnets. Now I have seen all different sizes. You can get the size that works for you. The first time I bought magnets, I had no idea what I was doing because there weren't really many videos for these at the time. But I bought these magnets, super dark and super huge. And that, so I learned that I didn't need magnets this big, and definitely did not like them that dark. So now I bought these. These are 5mm, super strong magnets. I got them off of Amazon, of course, where I get everything. And then I just need 6 of them. So I do 3 magnets on mine. I've seen some people do 4. I've seen some people do 2. It's really whatever you prefer. I like the 3 with these little ones because it gives enough of a hold that I'm not worried it's going to fall off if somebody, tips it over or whatever. And they're small enough that it really doesn't ugly up the top of their cup. Okay. So, first thing I'm going to do is line up where I want the magnets, because as you can see, I need to charge my phone. Hang on, let me plug this in. Before it dies on me. Okay, so as you can see here, if I were to glue it here, I just block the hole for the straw. There's no way that straw is going to fit through that little tiny opening. So I need to make sure I push this ice as far back on the cup as I can. So I want to make sure it goes here. So now that I have it here, what I'm going to do is take a little marker, and I'm just going to mark the bottom of my cup. So I can get my marker out without hitting my phone. Okay. Okay, so I just put a mark there, put a mark on this side, and I put a mark on the bottom, just so I know where I can go ahead and glue down right there, right here, and right there, where I can glue my magnets without blocking the straw hole. Okay, so now I'm going to take my magnets. Now you want to make sure, this is very important when you're working with magnets. They are polarized. You want to make sure they still connect when you glue them. So you need to make sure I keep them together when I glue them down on my thing. That way I know if I glue this side to my cup, this top side needs to be glued to my topper. If you don't keep them connected, or at least know which side is magnetized to the other side, you may get the polar opposite if you glue the wrong side to your cup, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Okay, so I'm going to keep them together like that, and I'm going to take a little bit of UV resin. And all you need is the tiniest drop and then this is really where this flashlight comes in handy. That way it stays exactly where I want it to stay. And does it matter if it's not perfectly on the dots? Absolutely not, because you'll see how I glue it to the top afterwards. Okay, so now I'm going to do the next one. And then we'll do the last one. Oops. And it also helps keeping them together because then if you use too much resin, it could go over the top of your magnet, and you don't want that either because you want to make sure that the magnets connect flush to each other. Okay, so there we go. Magnets are all stuck. Now I'm going to turn my cup over and I'm going to cure on this side a little bit just to make sure these suckers aren't moving. And you can add a little bit more resin around. I try not to do too much because I don't want the top of the cup to just be covered in case somebody does want to take it off and not use it while they're having the cup. See, this doesn't look terrible if it was just this on the cup. Okay, so now this is where my topper's gonna go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some resin to the tops of these magnets, and I'm going to place my topper on top of them. That way I know it will line up perfectly. If you don't do it this way, you may not get your magnets to line up. So this is how I have found it to be the easiest way for me to make sure that I get them exactly where I want them before I cure it. So I'm going to go ahead and add I'm going to drop my topper. And then again with the flashlight, I'm going to come underneath. And try to get that quick cure just so the magnets are in place. It's not coming off. It's a good sign. So now I'm just going to kind of twist it, because sometimes like one of your magnets may not be on there perfectly. So that's why I twist them off, just so it kind of pulls them, because now I'm going to add a little bit more resin to my topper. That way I make sure, you know, these don't come up. And you don't want to add too much, because again, you don't want to cover the top of your magnet where it connects to the other one. I'm just going to add a small ring of resin around the outside to give it a little bit more reinforcement. All right, now I'm going to give each of these one cure for 1 minute under my big light. and then we'll be done. Isn't that pretty? Alright, you guys, there you go. Little magnets, very, very strong. They're super tiny. I like it. And now I can add it back to my cup. Straw goes through just fine. And that's what it looks like. I love it. Alright, so there you go. If you have any questions, let me know. But easy peasy. Happy crafting. Bye, guys.